And now, Nestle Crunch presents WWF Survivor Series, Deadly Game.
Survivor Series 1998. So this has always been one of my favorite Survivor Series pay-per-views. And, 1998 was a huge year for the WWF. The Monday Night Wars were still, pretty strong. Still very competitive. WCW wasn't dying quite yet. And I think in hindsight, this pay-per-view is more important than it was in 1998. And I mean that in a way that this pay-per-view was building stars. It was setting up WrestleMania 15, and it was really doing its best to jumpstart careers and to really showcase this new generation of talent. You had one of the best rosters of all time right here, if not the best, depending on who you ask. And, it showcases the personalities of these wrestlers very well. And, what can you say? It is a tournament style, and this was the most unique Survivor Series leading up to 98, for sure. We didn't have any elimination matches, so 98 and 2002, no elimination matches there. This was solely for the tournament. We did have a few other matches that weren't involved in the tournament, but we will get to those. So here's the thing. Being this is such a different pay-per-view, this was something they were trying to do that was new at the time. We did see kind of some stumbling around a little bit, and I mean that as in, you have, 6 first-round tournament matches. We have one at 30 seconds with Mankind and Dwayne Gill, for those of you who even know who that is. If you guys don't know who Dwayne Gill is, remember Gilbert. There you go. Fun fact of the day. But, this match only lasted 30 seconds. Mr. McMahon, he was introducing at the beginning of the pay-per-view, this first-round matchup. So that's always cool. And you did have the overarching theme of, Vince kind of brooding over the pay-per-view, just trying to screw Austin because, this was at a time when him and Austin were feuding. And then we have another first-round matchup, Al Snow versus Jeff Jarrett. We have Stone Cold defeating Big Boss Man by disqualification. We have a decent match with Steven Regal, back when he was the man's man. And then he faced X-Pac, and this ended in a double countout. I was not a fan of Steven Regal's character back then. It was like this macho man's man character. Just didn't work for him. And, that kind of, so obviously that takes both of them out of contention, being it's a double countout. We had a lot of that, where this person wasn't able to compete, or these people got disqualified or taken out of the tournament. And then we have Ken Shamrock defeating Goldust by submission in a fun little matchup. We have The Rock defeating Big Boss Man in 3 seconds. We have The Undertaker defeating Kane in 7 minutes and 16 seconds. And this was the start of the quarterfinal matchups. And then we have Mankind defeating Al Snow. Am I the only one who loves Al Snow? Come on. And then we have The Rock defeating Ken Shamrock in a quarterfinal match. And then we kind of take a break from the tournament style with Sable defeating Jacqueline with Mark Mero. And this is a singles match with Shane McMahon as the special guest referee. It only lasted 3 minutes and 14 seconds. And then we have Mankind defeating Stone Cold Steve Austin in a semifinal match. We have The Rock defeating The Undertaker in a semifinal match by disqualification. As you can see here, we have a lot of matches here. I think it's 14 matches on the main card. So that's 14 matches in 2 hours and around 45 minutes. So that's already kind of a problem. But here's my counter argument here. This may not be the best quality wrestling out there. This isn't some, masterclass, in-ring action, but it tells a great story. You have all these great characters, all this great building, a great character building. You just have kind of the perfect, stirring of the pot in terms of the roster, and they're really trying to set a lot up. And they're really setting up The Rock versus Stone Cold for WrestleMania. So we also then had a triple threat match for the Tag Team Championship. This one meant 10 minutes and 10 seconds. The New Age Outlaws defeated D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry, and the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher. So, a fun little Tag Team Championship match, and I do like how this pay-per-view is paced. After the quarterfinals, you had the women's title match, so to kind of give a little break there. And then you have the two semifinal matches, and then give a little break with the triple threat tag team match. And then we have your main event, The Rock versus Mankind. This was the tournament final match for the vacant WWF Championship. And one thing I will give him credit for, this went 17 minutes and 10 seconds. So, you have a lot of what felt like nothing matches, even though I don't think they're nothing matches, because they do tell a story and do have a purpose. And one thing they did do is they had time limits for these first round matches, so that allows you to have that excuse for the short matches. I think that's genius, because even on commentary, they're referencing that these are fast-paced matchups because you do have these time limits. They have to win within a certain amount of time. So that's smart. That's an easy way to get around the whole short nothing matches. So just brilliant booking on that part. And the main event, you let breathe. You give it 17 minutes. This felt important. It felt like a great final matchup. And you had The Rock gaining the WWF Championship by defeating Mankind by submission. At the same time as Mankind being built up, even heavier than he was. So, I think this is a solid pay-per-view. I could see why people wouldn't like it. That's fine. But I really enjoyed this. This was back when wrestling was fun. There, I said it. This is back when you were allowed to enjoy wrestling for what you wanted it to be. So an overall letter grade, I'm going to give this a B. I'll give it a B. I really enjoyed this pay-per-view a lot. This is one of my favorite Survivor Series pay-per-views. Top 5 easily, for sure, for me. And this is definitely one that I recommend you go back and watch. And it's just brilliant, the roster you have here, how they're utilized. And huge credit for this just really good pay-per-view. So let me know your thoughts down below. For now, this has been the DVD Freak. Peace out.